eating any food out of the market. She's like, you just don't ask because they don't actually tell you what's there. You just eat what you're given. And she's like,
Yes.
for sure, I had dog and cat. So yeah, no, it's a thing people eat. I just, I want to, I get where he's coming from. He wants to say, look, are you going to draw a line somewhere?
That's
So
right.
which animals are appropriate to eat and which animals aren't? And we're all going to make our different decisions. But I have to say that having gone through this whole kind of journey, that my point is I don't draw a line anymore at all, that it's actually a circle. And that for something to live, something else has to die. And it doesn't really matter whether you call yourself a vegan or not. There are dead animals in every bite of food that you're eating because that's what life is.
Absolutely.
And that was the hardest thing for me to come to grips with. The hardest part of this was trying to grow my own food and not kill anything in the process. And I realized at the end of the day, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
That the soil was just dead plants and dead animals acted
Yep.
upon by detritivores and bacteria. In order to have healthy soil, I had to have animal products in there. It was going to look like blood meal and bone meal, whether I liked it or not. I had to have manure from somewhere. And then the process of actually growing those plants for me to eat meant I was killing all kinds of other things. There was no way to have a garden without doing some death to some animals.
And I remember reading in your book, the snail story. I love the snail story. You started trying to grow your own vegetables and you kept having these snail infestations and you were trying so hard not to kill the snails because that's killing a sentient animal. And so you would actually collect them all and take them up the road and set them free. And I love that because you were literally a pristine vegan. You were legit down to the core.
Yeah, I'm just letting a dog out. Speaking of dogs, yeah, and that was a really, really hard moment for me because again, it was like I'm going to be the person that nothing is going to die in my life to sustain my life. I don't have to kill. This is possible, and therefore I have to do it. And then I had to learn step by step that it wasn't possible. So every night the slugs were eating my garden, and I would go out in the morning, and all the lettuce would be gone. Everything small and tender would be eaten in the night, just mowed to the ground. It was just the killing fields out there. And so I tried to collect all the slugs and just take them away somewhere. There's nowhere to put them. I mean, there isn't. I mean, I joke in the book about slug farm sanctuary, but that doesn't exist. Like, what are you going to do with the slugs? And I thought, well, I'll just take them down the road and I'll let them go in the woods down there. And I sat there and I let them out and I was like, okay, I feel so much better. I'm not going to kill them. All right, this is all good. I can still be vegan. There's nobody dead. It's all good. And I'm sitting there watching these slugs and it just slowly, like, it's that moment where you actually learn something and your brain just sort of, you feel yourself expanding. And it was, there's enough slugs here already. Like, what are they going to eat? Like, what have you done? All you've done is like overload. Now they're on overshoot. They've made enough slugs here. Like the mommy and daddy slug have made enough baby slugs. There are enough slugs to go around already in this spot. Like, why do I think there's a deficit of slugs here that these ones are going to be fine? Some of these slugs are going to starve. Right? There's no way that there's like no slugs here where I can just sort of plug the hole by adding more slugs. They're going to die.
Yes.
Like, you're fooling yourself if you think that this is not part of this.
Yep.
So
another solution I've heard vegans is they'll buy some ducks to eat the slugs. But basically at that point, what you're doing is you're employing a slug hitman to take out the slugs instead of you killing them yourself.
That's what I did. I got chickens and ducks because I couldn't bear to kill them. I was like, well, I'll just let these other creatures do it. And I can still pretend that no animals are dying. Well, I guess slugs are mollusks, but no creatures are dying for my food. And it was like, somebody has to kill the slugs. I can pretend that it's nothing to do with me, but come on, I'm the one who brought them onto the property in order to do exactly this. And there was another moment too with the same thing where the slugs kept coming back and blah, blah, blah. And I went to I stopped. I was like, fine, you can just have the garden. I can't do this. I can't kill them. And I went to the store and I was like, I'm just going to buy lettuce. I don't need to grow it. I'll just buy it. Right. And I held that head of lettuce and I felt so happy, like all these moral complications. I don't have to think about it. I can just buy a head of lettuce. And I held that lettuce in my hand. And it was that same moment of just like, now I have to learn something, don't I? And the thought was, you know what? Somebody killed slugs for this lettuce. Yep. If you're eating this lettuce, somebody else did it for you. Not just slugs, but rabbits and squirrels and deer and raccoons and groundhogs and whatever else should have been on that land that wants to come back. They can't be there because you're growing your lettuce. You're just paying a farmer to do all that for you. And I know they're out there with their shotgun, shooting the rabbits and the deer and whatever else. And they certainly have slug control of some kind. So you can pretend none of that is in your food, but I knew it was because I tried it and I knew what went into growing lettuce. So I had to give it up. I was like, there's death here. And it was so hard because I really thought for 20 years that there didn't have to be death in my food.
We've finally reached downsizing time.
Need to do the buying a house, selling a house.